Greg, some law ideas come from citizens, maybe lobbyists, but for one state senator, Senate Bill 5375 is personal.
I want to acknowledge that this is an emotional topic for many, myself included.
Speeches on the Senate floor can get personal, like Senator Noel Frames on Friday.
Children need trusted adults. They need to know that if they tell somebody they're being abused, like I told my teacher in the 5th grade that I was being abused, that they can trust that that person will make it stop.
She's backing a bill to add clergy to the list of mandatory abuse reporters, so religious leaders would need to contact the state if they learned a child was being abused, just like those in the medical field, law enforcement, and educators. When Senator Frame needed help as a child, she went to her teacher.
That is what Mrs. McAuliffe at Maple Grove Middle School in Battle Ground, Washington did for me as a 10-year-old girl. And I hope all of you will ask members of our faith communities to do the same so that those children can trust them.
This bill is really about setting up the framework so that a pastor has to choose whether they are going to obey God's law or are they going to choose to obey man's law. Opponents like Senator Leonard Christian say the state should not get involved in religious policies.
This is about putting the framework in place to put pastors in prison.
I was abused by a teenage cousin.
Senator Frame says the state has an obligation to protect children everywhere in the state.
This isn't fun for anybody to have to bring up what's happened to them in the past, but it's important that people tell these stories, myself included, so people understand the impact of what it means to not have this bill in place and why it's so important that we finally pass it.
When this bill first came up for debate back in January, the Archdiocese of Seattle testified against it, saying that requiring a priest to divulge something that came out of confession would be a violation of Catholic Church policy. This bill now heads to the House. Greg?
Having said that, I mean, there is precedent here. It sounds like quite a few states have similar laws already.
Yeah, the senator told us there are only 5 states. Washington is one of 5 states that does not already list clergy as a mandatory reporter. There are some states that demand clergy to also testify in criminal trials. That would not be the case should this law pass.
Keep us posted. Drew Mickelson at the Capitol for us. Thanks, Drew.